What's up, gangsters? This is David Chisum. I am in a weird season of life, but I will say that November 1st to me has been a meaningful date for a long time. I actually have really felt like for a whole year that, for whatever reason, the idea of November 1st kept coming into my mind for just a day of clarity. And yeah, I remember even 1 year ago, this, November 1st date, I really felt like in prayer that God was saying that essentially, like, can you wait 1 year from now for clarity on the future? And yeah, it's definitely been a long wait of a year to really hear more clarity and direction from God. Last year's been full of a lot of uh, tumultuous trial and confusion, and joy, but still heartache, and yeah, a mix of emotions. But yeah, I really been waiting for this day for a long time, and yeah, throughout the day today, it seemed like a pretty normal day. Just I was doing or driving for Uber throughout the day, and then I, didn't really notice anything really spectacular. I mean, I had a few conversations with some folks, and one in particular, someone who's really struggling, and it's cool. I got to be their driver and a temporary pastor to them, but apart from that, there wasn't anything like very significant in terms of how I felt like I was speaking in terms of clarity and direction for church planning. So, throughout the day, there's kind of disappointment. And then I tutored some students in the later afternoon, but also, yeah, just progressively not having more clarity. And Lauren as well. Throughout the day, we were just kind of throughout the day, like, oh, we just kind of thought maybe like get a call or, an email or, something would happen maybe throughout the day or a conversation with someone. But what was really neat is, kind of at the end of the day, and I really had felt like, strongly impressed upon this idea of waiting a whole year for nothing, or it seemed like nothing at this point, right? And yeah, Lauren and I are praying, and yeah, just strangely, I mean, sometimes you have these moments in your walk with the Lord, but you just really experience the nearness of God. And yeah, I haven't felt like that with God for a really long time, but it just felt like so like his presence just so calming, and there's so much peace, and yeah, it just felt really nice, just almost like you were kind of snuggled in a big fluffy blanket. I guess that's kind of sort of how I was feeling spiritually. But yeah, as Lauren and I were praying, we just really sensed a reassurance from God, of a couple things. Really, actually, one was more of a I guess directive. That's probably a better word. Yeah, I was thinking of maybe a few words, but directive in order to pursue the church planning endeavor even faster. So yeah, I mean, I think for us, it just really kind of shocking to have that sense of go or plant the church. But yeah, I mean, to us, I guess that made more sense because there's a lot of like waiting and kind of lingering, and not necessarily knowing what to do. But what's really cool is that, yeah, both Lauren and I were sensing that, and just to really just give up control, because there are, just a lot of logistical hangups that come with it. We really feel like, I mean, on paper, it's like a very, seemingly unwise thing to do at our current with our current state of affairs. So, I mean, for one, Lauren is 8 months pregnant, so that's already a challenge as it is. So we're expecting our daughter to be born within a month or a little bit after. And then, yeah, in terms of financially speaking, yeah, I mean, there's lack of funding, and yeah, it's just there are a lot of things that just don't add up in a favorable way. And so I think for us, yeah, it's a really big test of obedience. And yeah, it's one of those things where we really feel like this is what God wants us to do, but it just, maybe logistically doesn't make a whole lot of sense, even though there's, maybe a lot more practical wisdom in some of the strategies and ways in which new churches are created. So yeah, so for us, yeah, that's it's really encouraging, just the idea of giving up control and just kind of a reassurance from God that we are being led this way. And so basically the tentative game plan that we have for the future is essentially the next 3 months are kind of a preparation, rest, and getting to know our daughter as she's born over the next couple months. But then what we actually want to try to do, we're aiming for February 5th, and to have a Sunday service in our home as like as a house church setting, as we get things off the ground. But it's one of those things too where you have people that are interested in being a part of the church plant, but it's kind of like people aren't really that interested until they're really immersed in the experience of it, and they actually see what it's like. They see how it's different or potentially spiritually beneficial for them. And so for us, that's where we we're kind of wrestling. We're like, okay, well, how do we go about this, because there are a number of ways of strategizing to accomplish that. But yeah, today just had I mean, personally, I just had a strong sense of clarity just to start the church within our home, but as a launch point for what we hope to be later on. And I guess I'll talk a little bit more about that too, because yeah, I was driving someone in one part of Tustin recently, and I drove through Old Town Tustin, and it's funny because I kind of forgot it existed. And it's it's one of those cool little spots where it's sort of it's sort of like a downtown feel without being a downtown area, if that maybe makes sense. I think for me, I was really just praying to God, like I'd love God to be a part of an area trying to do pastoral ministry where it's like what it was like in downtown Fullerton. And I was thinking Orange too, it because they're both kind of like that. Downtown Fullerton obviously is very different than Orange, but yeah, I was just asking Lord, like Lord, I still feel like you want us in this general area, but I don't necessarily know how that may play out. And yeah, immediately when I was driving through there, and granted, I mean, I'm pretty familiar with some of the like restaurants in that area. There's a comic book shop nearby, or things of that nature. But I hadn't really just like sat and walked around and like prayed over like this area. And I don't know why, but I just felt like incredibly drawn to it. And as I've been like researching it more and like visiting the different places, and grabbing coffee, talking to an owner, and just trying to like look what's around, Yeah, I mean, it is like a really cool spot, and I really want to uh, explore that with the Lord and prayerfully as we try to think through what it looks like to do ministry in that area. And what's really cool about it is, I mean, there's a lot of really cool aspects to that area other than there's a lot of cool place to hang out and grab a drink at or eat or whatever, right? But it's I feel like it's a lot more than that because there's like a there's Pepper Tree Park right in the back of it. There's like a senior center right next to it. There's a farmers market down the road meets on Wednesdays, and all these businesses in the area, and they're all like tiny little places, but I don't know. I just feel like pretty drawn to it, and I just feel like I want to give that area some love, and it just feels right, and so for us, like basically what the idea is to sort of incubate a church plant in our home with the intention of having uh, an opportunity to do more pastoral ministry in Old Town Tustin, and there are I've already actually reached out to one of the churches nearby, and it was declined to uh, you know basically we wouldn't be able to meet on the property, but there are a lot of other workarounds for it, right? So I think one of the other considerations could be like they have a couple dance studios. I mean, actually, even to be honest, the way that we would do a service, it would actually even be more conducive to not be meeting in a sanctuary with designed seats and pews. Actually, it's a lot more conducive for the way we would do a church gathering would actually be a little bit more like an empty space area with movable chairs, I guess. But that's sort of what I'm looking for is there a couple dance studios. I mean, you can have an outdoor thing in a couple spaces like the park, or there are a couple other spaces too. I don't even necessarily mind, if maybe there's some other opportunities, like there's the Improv City. So there's a lot of different ways that you don't necessarily need like a church building to do church, right? And to be honest, I don't even really imagine that we would have a building in the foreseeable future, and I really don't think it actually solves uh, a lot of problems when it comes to church ministry. Actually, if anything, it can be distraction. So I think for what what is on our heart for church planning is, yeah, just to be able to shepherd a group of people on a Sunday afternoon, and yeah, maybe around like 4 o'clock would be even great too, to share a meal after at our home, and just hang out. So I mean, that's definitely been something I want to regularly do, and be in fellowship and breaking bread. And so I think that's definitely been on our heart, to have a regular gathering. But then, yeah, it's also wanting to be on mission in a particular, geographic location that we want to target. So, yeah, in terms of what we are uh, needing prayer for, is just really um, just favor with the people that we are going to shepherd. Just being able to know who they are, and to be connected with them, to build these strong relationships, and just to have that core group of people who are um yeah, I don't even necessarily like the concept of committed, because a lot of times in church planning what happens is, you have a church plant, right? And you have people that are committed for some period of time, right? But then what actually happens generally in every one of those situations is they lose 50% of the church because, it was sort of just built upon this mutual agreement that, I'm going to help with, this church plant for this period of time. And it's not really, it's more contractual than it is relational. And I mean, even like my parents' pastor, when we were growing up as a kid, we were part of the church plant that he was leading, and they actually retained like everyone minus like one mom, and but it was built upon relationship more than a programmatic building project, right? So I think for us, just love and I I'm really convinced at this point that the only thing that's going to make these things work is prayer. And I mean, ultimately, hopefully that should be all that we're really relying on anyway. But it's just kind of funny that's all that we're going to be able to rely on. So yeah, if you're in the hearing of my voice, yeah, I would really would treasure your prayers just for the healthy building of a new church community, and also just favor too with being able to be on mission in Old Town Tustin, and that we'll be courageous in evangelizing and just being relational, being invitational, being hospitable, and yeah, I think I have in mind, the ideal church that I could foresee for for what Epicenter could start out as, but everything revolves around uh, you know prayer, culture, leadership, and yeah, just really value your prayers, and just like any endeavor that one's trying to do to build the kingdom of God. There's going to be opposition. The enemy does not want new church plants. The enemy is opposed to uh, church planting, and will do whatever he can to disrupt or inhibit uh, church planting endeavors. So yeah, I really would love your prayers, and yeah, just it's just logistically a challenge for me and Lauren. It'd be very different if we did this when we were in our 20s and newly married, and didn't have kids, and we had a lot more flexibility and things like that. But for whatever reason, we have this calling to plant this church, in a lot of, I mean, don't get us wrong, like, our kids are a blessing, and our stage of life is a blessing. um Being in my mid 30s is a blessing, but um in some ways you sort of feel inhibited, and not to use that term too negatively, but like, yeah, it's inhibiting in the sense that, yeah, there will be limitations in terms of how we can shepherd people as best as possible. But anyway, yeah, just we really love for you to pray for us and pray with us continually over the next couple months. And yeah, just yeah, if you're interested in hearing more, you want to talk to me more. Like, a number of people have just wanted to talk to me about, like, what's the vision, what is Epicenter about, like, what are you trying to accomplish, like, how is it different than other churches, or things of that nature, right? But yeah, if there's anything that I could answer for you, or there are things that I could help clarify, love to do that for you. And just thank you so much for tuning in, and I'd love to keep you up to date on what we're doing. So just thank you guys so much. If there's anything I can pray for you about, just know you can contact me. Uh, and if you don't know how to contact me, uh, just I don't know, like find someone who has my number, I guess, or write a comment or something. Yeah, I mean, just know that I love to be praying for you, and thanks for hearing the message and take care.